If someone had their gun out at you already, you're in a very precarious situation, they are already ahead of the game. If you try to draw on them, chances are, while you start drawing, you will get shot. So you need to understand the slow draw. This is where you're waiting for the right opportunity to draw, present your firearm, and neutralize a threat. Hey, Myles here at Hyve. On the internet, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you've probably seen a lot of people practicing their fast draws from concealment or from, outside the waistband to that first shot or the second shot. And it is very important to learn how to draw fast and get your shots off. But there are situations where that's not going to be the answer, particularly in altercations where, let's say somebody already has their gun on you, looking at you. That fast draw, if you try to do that, chances are you might get shot. So it's very important to learn also the slow draw, and that's what we're going to cover in today's video. So if you're interested, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So as I mentioned, we're working on the slow draw today. And what it essentially is waiting for the right time, the opportunity, like circumstance or situation to get to your gun. We're taking a worst case scenario here where somebody is already aiming down at you and that fast draw may not be the right thing to do. So what we're gonna do today is cover a few tips so that you can start working on the slow draw yourself at home. This is something you don't need a target for in the beginning. So I'm going to be using Glock 19 dry. I normally carry a P365, but I've been filming just with the Glock 19, so I'm just going to be using this. So what I'm going to do today are share a few tips that will apply to all carry positions, whether appendix, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, anything like that. We're talking about concealed here, but also I'm going to be talking about specific positions and some of the pros and cons. There's no one perfect way to carry a pistol concealed. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. So I carry appendix, and I'm going to demonstrate this first tip from the appendix carry position, but you're going to see that it can be applied from all other positions, and that is how to defeat your garment. Now this is not necessarily the right way to do it. This is something that I find and a lot of other people, when it comes to the slow draw, is a little bit more effective, but at the end of the day, try it out and see what works for you. So when people defeat their garment, you want to have positive control. You'll learn this in a lot of classes, positive control of the garment, where you pretty much guarantee you can defeat the garment, get it out of the way, and it's not going to impede you from grabbing your firearm. And most people are going to grab from here. Now, we're not going to be using this technique. We're going to be trying to do things slowly. So if I did this slowly in front of somebody, a bad guy, well, they know something is up. Whereas if I do this slowly, I can disguise this. Or the tip that I'm going to show you is to actually use your thumb. So if I was slowly doing this, I'm just going to look at you in the camera here. So I'm going to compare the two. Both work. And again, at the end of the day, try it out. So the thumb here, a lot of people will do this for the fast draw too. I like to use it for the slow draw, where I'm slowly inching up, defeating my garment. And by doing this, I'm also pinning the cloth or my shirt to my body. So now it doesn't impede me from getting a good grip of my gun. So by doing this, I'm just crawling up, I'm defeating my garment, and I can come back onto my pistol grip and then draw without having to break it down into additional steps. What do I mean by that? If you do the other method, there is the possibility that you also have to pin it. You have to take an extra step because this is a slow draw, right? So if I do this slow, I'm inching my way. So now I can see my gun. I defeated the garment, okay, over the gun here, but I still don't have a good grasp on my pistol. So now I would have to, if I'm doing this slowly, I have to find a way to pin my garment here. Because if I don't, what happens, it's going to fall right over my gun. So this could possibly add a step, whereas if I just go from the thumb up, I'm defeating my garment, and now I have a good grip. If I do this, I have to pin it and then slowly crawl to get my gun. So this is something that you can do from any position. If my gun was over here on the right, okay, you could use your thumb to inch up, and now I have it pinned, my garment pinned, while I get a good grip. This could happen over here as well. using the thumb, leading with the thumb to defeat the garment and then get a grip 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Whereas, again, if I was carrying 3 o'clock, if I defeat my garment, I still have to pin it and then crawl slowly in, okay? Nothing wrong with that, necessarily wrong with that. You know, you're going to do what is most comfortable, but this does get rid of one step, all right? Where it just flows. I go underneath the garment and I have my grip, and now I'm able to draw easily without worrying about my clothes getting in the way. And as I mentioned, this works well from any position. So give that a try. Use your thumb to defeat your garment, get your grip, and then work those draws from there. Now that we've covered a technique that you can begin to use and experiment with, where it simultaneously defeats your garment and allows you to pin your clothing to your body so they can get a secure grip, let's talk about some of the specific positions and some of the details to a slow draw. We're not going to dive into every little thing here, but you do want to know some things to disguise your draw. In terms of waiting for the right time, that's a subject for another video. You do need to make sure that when you're doing the slow draw, you don't want to get caught. So that's a topic for another day. We're focusing specifically on some techniques you can use when you decide you have to do the slow draw. So we're going to start off with appendix, and then I'm going to lump 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and even 6 o'clock together. So with the appendix, if you carry appendix, there are pros and cons to every carry position. And when we talk about the slow draw, there's absolutely pros and cons to carrying appendix. If you are a bad guy, looking at me, you have a gun, and you're telling me to keep, you know, maybe you're telling me like don't turn, or maybe the situation doesn't allow me to turn, okay? Then I can be in trouble, meaning there's no way I can disguise my draw. If a criminal, you know, I'm facing directly in front of a criminal here, I can't do anything. Where if I turn, maybe that's going to, you know, raise a red flag for the bad guy and I get shot, okay? So I can't disguise my draw. So a disadvantage of the concealed carry here, appendix, is if I can't turn, if I do this, they know I'm going for my gun, okay? So there is a disadvantage there. Now let's talk about an advantage though, okay, to carrying appendix. If I carry appendix, this is going to allow me to turn without raising my elbow so a bad guy can't see. Now, of course, this would have to come, you have to use some, you know, some mind games here, some strategy where you might, okay, let me just get something, you know, you're going to have to use some acting here in order to allow yourself to turn, right? So the appendix, I can't do the slow draw looking directly, but I can absolutely do it turning. So what I mean by that is here. So you're looking in front of me here, and the advantage is if I can blade off or whatever it is, I'm going to start doing my slow draw. You'll see my thumb is right here, okay? I'm blading off. Notice I'm going to do this incorrectly. See how my elbow comes up really high? Now you know I'm drawing, okay? You see this. And if I was carrying 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, if I had to turn, now you see my elbow. You know I'm going for something, okay? Whereas appendix, it's terrible if I have to say in front of you, but if I get to turn, I can pin my elbow. And notice you don't really see it coming up nearly as much as the other positions. And now I can draw, get my gun, okay? So very different there. If I find the time to be able to turn, appendix allows me to hide my draw much easier than 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So let me show you 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. If I turn, you're gonna see my elbow come up. You know I'm going for something. Okay, so with appendix carry, there's pros and cons. Remember, a big disadvantage, you can't hide your slow draw if you're facing somebody who's, you know, pointing a gun at you, but you can if you blade off. There's an advantage to the appendix slow draw if you're able to turn. Now let's take the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock position. We're just kind of lumping them all together. The advantage of carrying this way, all right, is you could potentially disguise it even if you had to face your threat, right? So someone's pointing a gun at you, maybe they want your money, something like that, okay? Now, the circumstance, they're all dynamic, right? We can never tell, right? So this is just one very simple example here. If someone had pointed the gun at me, if I could use this opportunity to say I'm giving my wallet, then I could be potentially grabbing my gun, right? And without letting the criminal know that I'm going for my gun. Maybe perhaps I'm really going for my wallet, right? Whereas with the appendix carry, again, you can't. If you go for your gun, they know you're going for the gun. But what is a disadvantage to the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock carry here? If I do have to blade for whatever reason, okay, if I do have to blade, you are going to see that elbow come up. Versus the appendix, if I do the appendix, you do not see the elbow come up when I turn, okay? So there's a disadvantage to the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Here, you'll get that elbow up. So what you need to consider when you are doing your slow draw, and remember this technique is great because again, it'll simultaneously, whether you're covering 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it simultaneously defeats your garment and pins it so you can grab your gun. But notice again, if I'm carrying appendix, do you see the elbow? Not as much as carrying 3, 4, 5, 6. You see it come up, right? So what you have to do as a concealed carrier is understand the give and take with appendix and all the other positions. Now, if you carry appendix, I'm going to share some tips here. If you carry appendix, I've already discussed that this disguises your draw. Okay, if I have to turn, I disguise it, but you must keep your elbow stuck to your body. Okay, you do not want to do this, and now you can see it. If I keep my elbow stuck to my body, I can draw and now grab my gun, defeat the garment at the same time. And then you could establish your two-hand grip, go to work, whatever you need to do. So keep your elbow next to your body if you are going to blade off with appendix. Now the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, lumping it up, again, you can do the same thing with that thumb, but now if you are going to turn, it's a little bit harder, okay? Every time you turn here, what you need to do is try to chicken wing your elbow if you can. So if you were the bad guy here, if I bring my elbow up this way, telltale sign, you're gonna have to chicken wing it. Now this is the thing, just like magicians practice a lot in the mirror, they do their tricks, their sleight of hands, everything in the mirror. They practice over and over and over and over and over again. This is going to be very clunky and not natural for you if you don't practice it, right? You could video yourself, take a look if your elbow is coming out, but if you carry 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and you have to blade, everyone does this. It's just natural. This is a natural way to draw your gun. You need to learn how to raise chicken. I'm going to do the side view here. So if the criminal is over here, if I have to turn, you need to learn how to bring your elbow this way out. That's not natural at all, right? You have to practice it. So again, natural is this. Not natural is this, but now you do not see the elbow as much, okay? So that's a tip that you can use for the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock positions. Remember, no one position is going to be 100% better than the others. There's pros and cons. And with the thumb, that simple tip that I shared with you, and then using the elbow, changing where the elbow, what the elbow does, whether it's chicken winged out or attached to the body, can help you with your slow draw. Remember, the slow draw is something that you're going to have to use your brain to know when to do. It is not something that someone pointing a gun at you, you execute the slow draw. You have to wait for the right time as well. So I hope these little tips help you with the slow draw. Definitely practice it. Video yourself. Ask someone to watch you. You have to do it a lot in order to ingrain this. This is something you can do dry. You do not need to shoot a single round for this, but you have to put in the reps to really become proficient. So to reinforce everything we covered in this video, I'm just going to do a few live rounds. I have a target down range, and it doesn't really matter what target you're going to be using. Remember, this is probably something that's going to be up close to, where you might have someone right up in front of you where you could take a retention shot, but ideally you want to see your sights when you're shooting, but you never know what the scenario is. So I might start off here, take a shot here, then begin to present. So I'm going to do this drill with a Glock 19. I'm carrying appendix using a Vetter holster, and if you're not familiar with Vetter holsters, they're a big supporter of the channel, so check them out if you're looking for a great holster at a good price. They pretty much have a holster for every major pistol out there, so make sure to give them a look. So again, I have a target up here. I'm just going to demonstrate this from appendix. I'm going to load and make ready. And as a reminder, this is a slow draw. You're trying to be sneaky here. We're trying to hide everything. So if I'm here, I know that I can't do my slow draw from here because the threat would be right in front of me. So with appendix, I'm going to, I might find a reason like, hey, man, let me grab something here, something like that. I'm inching my way up with my thumb to defeat my garment. And notice my elbow, where is it? It's pinned to my body, okay? It's stuck here. And from here, I defeat my garment. Okay, just like this. And I might not, again, it's slow, it's happening slow. You can't see me, but I'm just inching up. So at this point, when I'm here, okay, I already have my hand on my gun. And the idea is I'm trying to hide this from whoever it is I'm doing this to. And it happens slowly. But when I'm ready, if the person was close, I might take a contact shot here and then immediately present, okay, present after I take those shots. Now, I'm not even talking about footwork here. There might be some footwork after I take these shots, I might back up as I get my full presentation. But the idea here is to work this. You don't necessarily need to do live fire, but I just wanted to demonstrate how this would look. I've defeated my garment right now. Okay, I keep my elbow tucked. I could take a contact shot here if I needed to, and then present as I back out and take shots. I'm going to demonstrate this incorrectly first. Hey man, I'm just going to grab something. Notice how my elbow came up? Not really a good technique because it's telegraphing. If I do this, there's less of a telegraph here. I can grab my gun and neutralize the threat if I need to. So I hope you guys like that concealed carry tip. It's something that I've been working on. Again, this thumb tip here is a really great way to do things simultaneously, then pay attention to that elbow. If you guys have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Let me know if you like the video by giving a thumbs up or not. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. See you guys in the next video.